Hello, thank you for joining us today to learn more about why you should vote no on Measure T, which will save Measure Y. Measure T is a developer's dream and a taxpayer's nightmare. Measure T stands for trouble and is nothing but terrible for San Mateo residents. Pro T folks like to say that Measure Y has been around, or some permutation of it's been around for 30 years and it's old, it's outlived its purpose. Well, you could make that argument had nothing else around it changed, if it existed in a vacuum. But this is a California housing legislation highlights. This person, Alfred Twu, you can see the information out of there, the source and whatnot, publishes these on Medium. And I only go back to 2021 on this because all the grayed out ones are legislative, are bills that came out of committee. And then the ones that are highlighted in blue in all of these are bills that got passed. And you can see there are literally dozens, if not hundreds of bills. And I'm going to move over to 2022 and you'll see that font gets smaller. There's more and more. 2023, smaller and smaller, more and more. 2024, this is an older graphic. I should probably update it from May. You see a lot more blue on here. But there is the state legislature is positively overrun with development interests and whatnot, and they have passed so much legislation that extends and overrides and undermines the sanity that Measure Y keeps in place. That there's a lot of development bonuses, a lot of additional development that happens with Y in place. So there's absolutely no reason to overturn Y. And it expires on its own in 2030, which is only 5 years from now. Some interesting facts about San Mateo. I found this to be pretty eye-opening, actually. San Mateo is the second most dense city in San Mateo County. I would have figured it was the most, but it's second only to Daly City, which kind of was eye-opening to me. And it's way up there at 13,195 people. San Mateo's at about 8,300 people per square mile. By comparison, San Francisco is 18,000, a little over 18,000. So San Mateo is a little less than half as dense as San Francisco. It's still pretty darn dense. It's the second. San Francisco is the second densest city in the country, and New York City is the first at 29,000. Just to give you a kind of a rough order of magnitude of those numbers. So think of San Mateo is about a quarter as dense as New York City, which is still a lot more than I would have guessed. And it's twice as dense as Redwood City, which has about the same population. Redwood City is about half of that, 4,164. And really interestingly is we in San Mateo are as densely populated as Los Angeles. In other words, the city is very built out and it's very dense. At the same time, our population has declined by about 5% since the last census, sitting around right around 100,000. Also importantly, I noted was our average commute time is a mere 25.7 minutes. I don't know about you, but it takes me a half an hour to get anywhere around here, that's pretty good for a commute time. So yeah, you'll have outliers, people that live in far out places, traffic jams and whatnot. It can always be better, but it's not as terrible as some people make it out to be. Our poverty level is also below the average for the metro area and California. So we're doing a pretty good job of helping people out and keeping people out of poverty. We've also achieved a relatively good jobs housing balance. It's an important metric where, again, how many jobs do you have per unit of housing? And it sits around a little less than 1.5, and 1.5 jobs per home. When you talk to experts in that area, they consider that ideal. So in other words, why are we building? So RENA takes this ham-fisted method that does not take into consideration the population density or many other factors that it should. And it just gives the numbers out to everybody and shoves them down your throat. So again, we're not suggesting, nor do most San Mateans say we shouldn't grow at all. But why are we being forced to grow our population by 50% when we already have this level of population density? Our population is actually dipped a little bit, and we've got this good balance. There's no sprawl here. The city's 7 miles long and less than 2 miles wide. It's bordered by foothills, the ocean, and the bay. So we've done and continue to do our part, and we should not be penalized for that. couple closing things here. This is an actual rendering of a project that's currently being proposed in Redwood City. And all I have to say is yikes. And this is what happens when you don't have measure Y. Now, again, the scare tactics with the builder's remedy and whatnot, the measure T folks will show you these big scary buildings in Menlo Park and Cupertino and other places. And again, those are cities that weren't acting in good faith to meet their RENA numbers and zone for housing per the RENA quotas. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you? Like you don't, and this is what you get. So Measure Y has served San Mateo well in making things reasonable and smart and controlled, right? And balancing that out. T doesn't do what it says it will, and it does a lot of bad things it says it won't. So we urge you to vote no on Measure T for many reasons. Key among those, again, any given council with just 3 votes. That 15% affordable housing becomes 0% or whatever they want. Follow the money. We showed you all the developers and how much they love Measure T and how much they want this to pass so they can build whatever they want. Measure Y and its predecessors have always been about trust and your voice versus the heights and densities aspect of it. You lose Measure Y, you have to trust developers, you have to trust construction unions and real estate interests, you have to trust the state and your council, and we don't, for good reason, as you can see. And then, as covered, the state laws that grant substantial height and density bonuses on top of Y. There is no need to overturn Y to support growth, especially when Y automatically sunsets in 2030. So we urge you, don't reward bad policy and process with your precious vote, and vote no on Measure T and save Measure Y. Thank you for your time. If you are interested in helping us out, you can visit our website at smartergrowthsm.com, lower left-hand corner, or you can email us at smartergrowthsm@gmail.com with any questions or if you want to get involved. Thanks for listening.